Hi, good morning. Today I wanted to show you our trellis that we built last night. My husband and I, we built it and we're figuring it out as we were building it. So that's why I didn't have a video of us actually creating it, because it would have so many cuts in it. But I'll show you kind of what we did today. And last night it was also pretty dark when we were making this, because he doesn't get home till 7:30 from work. So yeah, I will explain to you what I did. I wanted to use cattle panels. The cattle panel tunnel trellises, I think they're awesome. But one, our pathways are like 2 feet wide. They're not very wide. So those wouldn't work very well between that space. I think you need like a good 3 foot, maybe 4 foot pathway. And then two, we didn't have a vehicle big enough to haul a 16-foot long cattle panel. And so, and I figured a lot of you are probably in that same situation. You don't have a truck, you can't haul a 16-foot long cattle panel. So we figured out a way to do it with just some wire fencing. I wanted to do woven wire, and I would suggest using woven wire, but I couldn't find any. And so I have welded wire fencing. And it's the type of fencing that you can use to make like dog runs and things. I'll show you a bit closer view of it here in a little bit. But yeah, I'll show you what we did and we'll go from there. So here's the view from this side of the trellis. I really wanted a tunnel. I wanted to be able to walk through it, and we could have done an A-frame that may have worked, but I really wanted a tunnel because I'm hoping it can stay up year round, and that we could put Christmas lights on it in the winter. So that's what I'm hoping for. But let me show you what we did here. We used just some rebar. I think it is 6 feet rebar. Yeah. So we used rebar, and we just had this in our garage. And so I'm sure if you used T-posts, that would work just fine. We were trying to just use what we had, and then I went and got the fencing. So we used rebar, and then let me show you the fencing here. It's probably about 2 inches by, I'd say about 4 inches right here. So it's small enough that a rabbit probably could not fit through there. And we just used, okay, right here at the ends, we cut them off. Let me get it so it's focused. Let me show you here. We cut them off, and then I realized, wait a second, if we cut it off a little bit longer, then we can just use these ends and bend it around the rebar. So that's what we did. We got smart with this one. This side over here, we hadn't figured that out yet, so we used zip ties, which worked too. So we just used zip ties and then cut off the ends so there weren't all these random tails sticking out all over the trellis. But here we bent the rebar, or not rebar, sorry, the wire over the rebar. And then, so this panel on the bottom is running lengthwise, or horizontally, I guess you could say. But then the top, we wanted it to bend, so we needed to do it vertically. So if you can see here, this is running this way, and then we turned the fencing up onto its end, and now it's running up, woo, and over our heads. Now if this bothers you, I'm sorry. But I just figured that at some point these pumpkins are going to cover a lot of this, and I'm not even going to see the fact that the fencing changes directions. But we just zip tied it together. My husband held it up while I tied it down, so it is a two-man job. And then we put in, we have the rebar at the end, and then we put in an additional rebar in the middle to just help it with stability and structure, because this part here was bending outward, so we tied it down there. And then when you put this up initially, it just kind of falls down on you because it's not as stiff as cattle panel. And so the middle rebar, if you notice, is sticking up higher than the one at the end. And so we made it come up higher and then zip tied it right towards the top. And that really helped this rainbow shape stay structurally, I guess, in a rainbow. And so, yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else to show you with it. We did, because of course the fencing is shorter this way, obviously, because we turned it up onto its end, than it is lengthwise. We did have to come here in the middle and add, you can see it overlapping, an additional layer of the fence in the middle because we had this gap here. But I'm actually okay with that because since it's overlapping a bit, it's helping it stay together and stay in this, I keep wanting to say umbrella. It is kind of like an umbrella, rainbow structure. And so that is how we did it. We have one section here, and then one section to match it on the other side, running this way. And then we have 3 sections going up and over, 2 and 3. And again, we just use zip ties on all of them to keep it where we wanted it to go. And then I used my stuff that I like here, the green plant Velcro, to tape up this pumpkin. Now, one thing I'm concerned about, like I said, I would suggest using welded wire if you can, or not welded wire, I'm sorry. I would suggest using woven wire, because with the welded wire, let me show you where it's not so much in the light. There's our bunnies over there. With the welded wire, it's not looping under and over, it's just on one side, and it's welded together. And I'm worried that the weight of the plant or the pumpkins might end up snapping those pieces apart. So we'll have to see. I'll have to figure out. This is trial and error, experimentation. That's what a garden is about. Even if you're a professional gardener, you still experiment with new things. And so we're going to be looking at that to see if it does that. The other thing I'm worried about is the weight of these pumpkins. We're not doing huge jack-o'-lanterns. These are pie pumpkins. So they shouldn't be all too heavy, but I'm worried because this is not as sturdy as a cattle panel is. Sorry about that, my battery died. Always have a backup of everything. Backup battery. So as I was saying, I just worry that the weight of the pumpkins are gonna weigh this down and make the arch not be an arch anymore. So we just figured if that happens, what we'll do is we'll get some PVC pipe, just an arch of it to go off of the rebar, and then over and on to the next one, and then support it. And I know PVC pipe bends as well, but I'm hoping that it might at least give it a little bit of extra support. So we'll do that on each of the rebar if we need to. But yeah, I'm just happy I can walk through it because we had something here. My husband lashed a bar across, and we were gonna just do that, but then I'd have to duck every time to get under the pumpkins, and I didn't want that. So now I can walk through it and not hit my head, and my husband can walk through it too. But anyway, that is our trellis. If you have any questions, let me know, and hopefully that gives you a good idea if you have a vehicle that's too small to fit a cattle panel like we do. Anyway, thank you for watching. Bye bye.